Welcome, everybody, to another interview of a fabulous author. Today, we are talking with Shirley Nomakeo, who is a very accomplished author. Shirley Forrest Nomakeo received a BS degree in graphic design from Rivier College in Nashua, New Hampshire. She owns a golf marketing business, Western Mass Golf, which she has run for over 2 decades after working for 16 years in the printing industry. In 2017, Shirley published her first book, The Summer Palace, and has been busy writing ever since, having written 3 more books in the Summer Palace series, plus The Tea Room and Places You Will Be From. So 6 books in about 4 years. That's pretty prolific. Shirley has also had several audiobooks produced of her novels, and she is an APA member. Maybe she'll kind of go into detail of what APA is. And she's also an avid historical fiction reader. I'm going to add links to all of Shirley's books underneath this video, as well as a link to our sponsoring organization, Women's Rights Publishing and Author Services. And as I say for all of our videos, please support them by contributing to our Patreon account. Hello, Shirley.
Hi, Ted. Thank you.
Very nice to meet you.
Oh, nice to meet you too.
So what's easier, golf marketing or book marketing, and why?
Well, it's my husband does. I'm an introvert. My husband is an extrovert. So that has a lot to do with your marketing success, I really believe. So in that respect, marketing golf is much easier for me. Marketing myself, it's hard. Back in the day when you had that first resume that went out, it's always hard to plug yourself, but you gotta get over that. You gotta get thick skin and just keep it rolling. But it's mandatory. I mean, the industry has changed so much that you really
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But you're an independent publisher, so obviously marketing has to play a big role in what you do in order to try to sell your books. I know I've dabbled in some marketing for about 30 years as well. And when I started helping or trying to market my books, it's vastly different marketing books versus marketing any other product or service. Do you find the same thing?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a whole new skill set. And I tried to take in free webinars. I joined yours once, which I found very helpful. I try to do that whenever I can. Any kind of help is good. And listening to what you're learning, like we were talking about earlier, get on a podcast, get an email list, and for me personally, I was doing really well with trade shows and book clubs and libraries, and then all of a sudden that was gone. So that's why I turned to audiobooks. So I learned how to produce an audiobook because it just seemed an alternative way to, get my work out there. And it's really, really neat to hear your book narrated by a professional. When we're getting ready to produce it, I still kind of have to smile because it really is an elevation of your work, and it's adding the professional talents of someone.
I did want to talk a bit about the whole audiobook thing, because I know a lot of authors, they're either contemplating doing audiobooks. Some of them want to do the audio, the narration themselves. You hired somebody to do the audiobook for you. Talk a little bit about that audiobook process. I think everyone will be interested in that.
Yeah, no, ACX, Amazon, you go in, you get your print book and your Kindle book, and then there's another avenue. It's called ACX. And it's pretty easy. There's I don't know the number, but it's over, thousands of people who put their profiles up there. They have a little sample or several samples. As an author, you kind of have an idea of what you want your characters to sound like. So it's just a matter of the process. And then there's, There's the royalty share where you share with your narrator, and then some of the, more professional, more experienced ones just want a flat fee. So, I mean, there's a little bit of, there's industry standards. I was lucky in my first few endeavors that I got people who were just starting out. I needed the experience, and so did I. So we kind of, we went in it together, and my first like 3 or 4 books are different narrators because, when you get done, you're not proven, your book sales and all that. But I'm happy to say my last 3 books have been narrated by the same person. So that, I have one in production now. One was just released 2 weeks ago. So
How long about does it take from the start of production, from when you're, I guess now you're not going to go through auditions to try and find a narrator because you know who you like, but
right.
from that start of the production process to when ACX has finally technically approved all the files and it actually gets launched onto Audible and iTunes and wherever?
Well, for me, COVID reared its ugly head again because I had my book, The Tea Room, submitted in June. It didn't get published till November. That is a long heck of a time. Then more recently, I we put it up on ACX like in the beginning of February, and 2 weeks later it was on sale.
Wow,
So,
that's a fast turnover.
yeah. And in
Yeah.
fact, a couple of mine did go that fast, but like I said, that other one took 6 months. I don't know why. It just, COVID.
And also, it's not just COVID that ACX, I know from experience, quite honestly, that they have a lot of technical rules, and a lot of times the narrator will have to resubmit the files if they're not meeting the ACX rules.
Yeah, room space, or I don't know. I don't go there.
Well, talk about your transition from running Western Mass Golf to devoting much of your time to writing. How'd that take place?
Yeah, well, I left my printing job and started doing websites. Like I said, my husband did all the legwork. I did all the, the online work, websites, promotional pieces, all that. It was just, I just got to the point, it was 6 years ago actually, where I always been creative. I drew, I did painting, I was an art director for 16 years at a printer. And I just, what, creativity finds its exit. And I'm a firm, I never dreamed I'd be writing books, but it was just a natural diversion for, I really kind of felt, it building up, and I just had to write something. In fact, the first book I wrote, it's a trilogy. It's still sitting here. I have not, it's not the one that got published first, so, and I'm still like racking my brain about that one, but, maybe it will never come to light. But I was querying, I was going the traditional route. I sent out hundreds and hundreds of queries that can take months. So in between, I didn't stop writing. I kept writing. So then I entered contests. So I had one book in the query, one book in a contest. So I'm like, I'll just write another book. So I did. So I just kept writing. And lo and behold, the 4th book that I wrote was picked up by a publisher, but I did not have a good experience. I was really disappointed. I ended up still having to do my own marketing and things like that. So I got all my rights back, which I'm really glad that I was able to do that. So then because I have a printing background, I really didn't want to go the self-publishing route. I just, but I slowly, worked into it. And like I said, because of my background, I was able to work my way through it. And I started, publishing my books, and I was having really good success at trade shows. But then again, that all came to a screeching halt.
Oh, that's coming back now. The book fairs are
Yes,
coming back. So plans to go back out on the road and do those
I
book
have,
fairs.
yeah, I have one in August that I'm prepared for. Yeah, I have all my books that I bought a year and a half ago, so I'm good to go.
Well, go ahead. I'll give you a chance to promote your upcoming appearances.
Oh, well, because this is, women's rights, the first book that I taught that never got off the ground, I did some research. I read a book, Peter the Great, His Life and His World by Robert K. Massey. And I came upon, I'm a lover of history. I read historical fiction, but there was some things that I just didn't know about Russia, 17th century, Peter the Great specifically. So once I put that aside, I started to investigate, and I heard about Sophia Romanov, who was brought up cloistered in the Terem, and she ended up ruling Russia as regent for 7 years. So her spirit, I mean, whether she did for good or bad, it's debatable. She possibly caused a military coup, but I mean, I did the Tea Room is the book I was going to talk about because it's about women's empowerment, and it is it's a historical fantasy because along with Peter the Great and all the things that happened in Russia, he didn't know he had a sister who was near and dear to his heart, and she was a lover of the arts, and she was a supporter of the arts, although that kind of dream didn't last very long, but she was, and she was very close to him, but there's really nothing written about her. So I I call it historical fantasy because I just imagine that this young girl growing up in the town with her 15 sisters. I mean, I built the world that I would imagine, because there really is nothing. I just, connected some dots, and, I found it, great. So I just imagine that she's an artist. She's very creative, and so there's dragons in there, and her, she had a very sickly sister. So I just imagine she maybe created stories, so I mean, that's what's great about historical fiction. You can, my personal philosophy is not to, take it to a crazy extent. I like to stay within the realm of reality, but I just she was important, and then also Sophia Romanov. So I used her in my historical romance. I used her spirit, and someone who grew up so under the thumb. I mean, and just to be able to kind of soar to heights that you would never expect. So I found myself exploring the different, like Western leaders who came to Russia that, really there's not a lot known about that, like, Patrick Gordon and, these people that really influenced Peter the Great, and he, I guess the Terem system, that his sisters all lived in, he kind of ended all that when he cut off the beards and all that of the, the religious people. And, I just loved learning and exploring. Yeah, I did, six of my books kind of came from that kind of research. And I did do a science fiction time travel as well. But of course, they end up back in time, near in the time of Peter the Great and all that. So, I just kind of, really, really explored that as much as I could.
Really interesting. So the research element of your books must be really in depth. You must be spending a lot of time on the research. How do what would you say is the balance, like 90% research to 10% writing?
Yeah, yeah. I'm on one of those. I wrote the story. I wasn't concerned with details until like the first rough draft. And that's when, I had a one horse pulling a wagon, and I'm like, oh my God, that would have never happened. The things like that I had to learn, and but like I said, I love history, and it was passion. I was just passionate about learning, um, and I thought, oh, here I am. I love history. I didn't know half this. I know there's got to be people out there who kind of share my interest in that time, and hopefully they'll enjoy what I researched. But yeah, it was a 24/7, 5 years that I really kind of, my kids are older, and I just kind of went into myself and just wrote these books.
Is that the kind of advice that you would give to the viewers, that if you're going to write about what you're passionate about?
Oh, definitely, definitely. Yeah. In fact, for me, that's the only way. I mean, you know, it's just such a dedication, and it's such a personal journey. Um, and when you pick your head up, and you want to share your information with people, it's gotta be accurate, and I never went to Russia. I mean, I would have loved to have done something like that, but I did it all, from my computer, and read lots of books, which I'm known to do anyway. So it kind of fit.
Yeah, that's another good point. If you're going to be doing historical anything, the accuracy is really key.
Yeah, yeah, yes, definitely. Yeah, because that, yeah,
Somebody's going to catch it. Somebody's going to catch it if it's wrong.
right,
No.
right. Yeah.
Is there anything else you would like the viewers to know about Shirley?
Oh, um, just that the creativity that I had all my life, never, I really didn't pick up a book to read. Well, I did, I shouldn't say that. I read Anna Karenina, I read War and Peace. I'm like one of those people way back when. Not a whole lot of books, but the ones I read were deep. And then when my kids were younger, of course I got the Harry Potter series, and they read them, but so did I, and I started to oh, what's the Dragon series by Chris Paolini, Aragon, and Lord of the Rings, and I mean Leo Tolstoy, and oh my God, Tolkien and Rollins, and I mean I just really immersed myself, and that's kind of where you know I just found there's another venue for what I've been kind of pushed back, while we raised our kids.
Hmm.
So yeah.
So what's coming up in the next 12 months for Shirley Nomakeo?
Well, I have the fourth book in my Summer Pals series, which is about a girl who lives in a town situation, not as strict as the no, she was a noble family, but not as the royal, not as strict. Um, but book four is going to start production for the audiobook in July, so that should be out in September. Um, I have that book that kind of was resurrected like January, and I'm still trying to uh, get that one to a point where I feel that it's worthy of being published. And I am writing book three on the time travel science fiction book. So I do a lot. I do juggle a lot, but like I said, there's processes, when it's out for query, which I'm really not querying anymore because I'm publishing my own. But, in those months, I found there was a lot of downtime, and I just never stopped writing. So,
Good stuff. In the introduction, I talked about that you were a member of the APA. So that's obviously part of your networking plan. What is the APA?
yeah, that's the Audio Publishing Association. I joined them because I entered a couple of my books into their audio awards. Didn't win, but I just thought, there are so many avenues to spend your money, and you really have to pick and choose, where you're going to invest. And I thought that would be a good investment, to pay the money to become a member and to submit. I submitted two of my books. I was hoping I would get some exposure, have judges read my story, because that is like number one. You want people to read your books. Reviews are so important. On my website, I have a newsletter or a contact where, if you're an author and you want your book reviewed, I would review it in exchange for someone reviewing mine. That kind of thing. I've been doing that a lot. I beta reading my second book, kind of not professionally because I'm not getting paid, but they're reading my stuff too in exchange. So, yeah, I found actually my last narrator I found through APA, although he was on ACX, but I kind of, missed that whole process of going through because I made a connection and they auditioned and they're excellent. And he'll have done 3 of my books. So,
That's great. That's great information. So I'm going to put, as I said, links to your website, to all your author pages. I thank you so much, Shirley, for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, I really enjoyed it, and thank what you're doing because it's a great service.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.